Hello there. So this coffee was grown in Panama in the Boquete region. It was finished with a natural wash. We roasted it for 9 minutes and 48 seconds, and the final drop temperature was 433 degrees. And as you just saw, we did a nice pour over with it. I like coffee, and for a while now, I've been trying to develop a coffee brand of my own. And it really started back probably 3 or 4 years ago when my father bought me a at-home coffee roaster, and I started roasting my own beans at the house. But the thing about this roaster was it's for residential use, and its maximum roast capacity is 125 grams. And I drink a lot of coffee. The wife drinks a lot of coffee, a couple pots a day sometimes more. I need more than 125 grams. So I got connected with a local roaster, and they had state-of-the-art roasting facilities. Can do 50, 60, 70 pounds of coffee at a time, which is fabulous. It's fantastic, except the least amount that it can do is 30 pounds. So what I started doing was buying 30 pounds worth of whatever green beans I could get my hands on. And then that kind of led me into trying out different regions of the world. Panama, did a lot of Yemen, Costa Rica. I tried to find rare stuff just to try it out. Something that, everybody does Ethiopian, which I love Ethiopian coffee, but every coffee shop's got an Ethiopian. So I was looking for other stuff. But then I had 30 pounds of coffee, roasted coffee in my house. And sometimes I'd have 2 or 3 kinds of roasts. So easily I'd have 60, 70 pounds of coffee in my house. And while we did drink a lot of coffee, we didn't drink that much coffee. So from there it was, maybe I'll sell a bag or two to friends and family and anyone else that's interested, coffee lovers. They'd come buy a bag or two. Some people would buy 5 pounds at a time. And that really helped facilitate and fund me getting deeper into the world of coffee and starting to brew the idea of, maybe I should make this into a brand. Maybe I could actually make something of this and, make it a side hustle. And then in 2018, my wife and my brother and myself went in on a Main Street building on Route 66 in Baxter Springs. We called it 1020 because its address was 1020 Military Avenue, Baxter Springs, Kansas.
Okay. How are you doing today?
My name's ColtynSeifert, and I hate ceilings.
And so this thing was huge. It was over 10,000 square feet. It had 2 stories. And when we bought it, we had all kinds of ideas of what we wanted to do with it. And one of the biggest ideas that we had was, let's make a coffee shop.
I'm going to show you a rendering that I have. I have a Viking table in the middle for like 20 chairs, and you just pull up,
Dude, that'd be tight. And then you could have some like wall benches.
Right.
But this building needed a lot of work. I kind of conjured up this idea that I would continue to sell these bags. I would start to sell to local coffee shops around the area to fund and make more money and try to establish this brand so that when we finished the building, we'd have this established brand that the local population would know and like, and then they would come to our establishment. Well, then, as we all know, 2020 happened, and we fought the good fight for a while, but we had to jettison a few things, and 1020 was one of those things that we decided to cut loose. And so we sold the building in 2021, late 2021, but at the time I was still roasting 20, 30, 40 pounds at a time and still selling to a couple of local coffee shops around here, as well as some friends and family. So the previous operation was still going, and I kind of thought to myself, I'm gonna have these plans of building a website, creating a shop, creating merchandise, and maybe, one day we'll get back to opening that coffee shop. So then, towards the end of 2021, I'm talking like December, like the last weeks of December, I really took time, I talked about this in my last video, I really took the time to realign myself with my values. And part of that was, verbalizing what those values were, writing them down, and then being able to see them and confirm, like, yep, that's exactly what I want to do. That was a whole process, and maybe I'll make a video on that later, but that was a whole process that started. It really started in 2015 when I moved back from California for the second time. Yeah, a lot of ego death and dreams evaporating, all kinds of stuff. I could go into it, but this is about coffee. And so I aligned myself with certain quotas, like how many vlogs I'm going to do per week, how many blogs I'm going to do per week, how many times am I going to go to jiu-jitsu, how many times am I going to shoot the bow, how many times am I going to post on TikTok. Verbalizing what sort of goals I was after, like why am I doing this, and what makes it worth getting up in the morning. So after I established all that, 2022 started out really good. The first 2 weeks I was on point, getting my quotas done. I was creating content, doing a ton of writing. I was feeling really good. It was tough, and I was definitely feeling the fatigue of creating so much and on a schedule, but I looked at that as, developing my lungs, or whatever you would say as a runner. You're developing your capacity to withstand this sort of vigorous creation. And then one night last week, I sat down to meditate, and it was one of those sessions of meditation when you sit down and as soon as you close your eyes, the thought just implodes on you. And this thought was, is this coffee brand your priority? Wow, okay. Is it my priority? Well, it's one of my priorities. Is it the highest priority? Oh my, okay. No, it's not. And then it like pulled out its ace of spades, or I pulled out my ace of spades, and it was like, I want you to follow this idea all the way to its completion. And I want you to dress it up in the most successful and fantastic way that you possibly can. Go ahead and take that idea of this coffee brand and go all the way to the end and crank it up to 11. I'm like, okay. Well, in that case, I would sell bags online, and we would sell really rare coffees, very specialty coffees, and it would take off in such a way that I would have to hire some help. I'd have to hire a couple people to help me bag this stuff and ship it out. And after a while, we got some revenue going, then we'd be able to buy a place or build a place, and we would have our own spot, and we'd be able to have a coffee shop with this, it was called Rendezvous Coffee. And so Rendezvous Coffee would have its own location, and we'd have our own coffee shop, and the voice says, do you want to own a coffee shop? Is that one of your priorities? Is that what you want to do? No. No, not really. No. And so as soon as I was able to admit, like, no, it's not really what I want, even in this best case scenario where I've played it out, turned it to 11, and this is the best that it can ever become, this super successful brand, very popular coffee shop that, lots of people come to, and it's got a great vibe. Yeah, it sounds awesome, but it didn't sit right. It wasn't one of my priorities. It didn't sit as well as, if the same voice were to ask me, is writing your priority? And I say, yes. Is this what you want to do? Yes. Take that concept and press it out all the way and crank it to 11. And if I were to do that in the sense of writing, yes, that's what I would want. So all of a sudden I was kind of shown priorities, and that's when I decided it's time to cut the coffee brand idea loose, jettison it off of my priority list and no longer give it focus or, time, and rather take that energy and revert it back into priorities, into these other things that I actually want to do. But my internal dialogue was not done with me at that point, and it was like, by the way, just wanted to show you this, and it was, it was like, I'm just gonna read what I wrote. I would structure my priorities in what was either easily accomplishable, or I stacked it in some way that kept me from my true priorities. Some strange, disguised form of procrastination. And day after day, week after week, month after month, I would look at my to-do lists, and all sorts of things would be crossed off, except the most important things. Blatantly thrown at me, right in my face. This is what you do, You put on, wash dishes, and then you also put on your to-do list, work on your screenplay, and by the end of the day, I cross off wash dishes, but I don't even touch that screenplay because it's so large and immense and terrifying, and I just don't even want to look at it. I'm a terrible writer, and I just can't do it, but I can do the dishes. What happens is you repeat that over and over again, and I guess you have a clean kitchen, but your screenplay remains unwritten. So this meditation session was really good and really powerful, and internal me or in my inner voice or God or whatever, you know, kind of proposing to me like, hey, we need to adjust your priorities and we need to adjust your energy input into these things so that the things that need your time and attention and that would give you benefit and meaning for your life need to be engaged with first with the most energy and passion. And if you don't get the other things, so be it. Because you're not choosing to do those. You're choosing to do these first things. That's what you're doing. You're saying, I will do this, and if I get to these other fun things, you know, they're usually fun, so be it. If I don't, so be it. This is my calling, this is my truth, and this is what I will pursue. So it was a good meditation session. They're not all like that. So no more coffee business. No more trying to develop into a brand. No more Rendezvous Coffee. You know, maybe I can make a t-shirt that's like a vintage looking t-shirt that says Rendezvous Coffee, established never, you know, something that's like a little callback someday, you know. Like already I was telling Kelsey how excited I was and how good I felt by continually organizing my mind and organizing my thoughts and being able to know exactly, to communicate, to verbalize exactly what I am pursuing. I absolutely 100% know the target that I am aiming for. So I ask you, what are your true priorities? What are your true values? Can you list those out? Can you verbalize your true values? The values that ultimately direct your life because they influence your behavior and your choice and the direction that you pursue through life. I hope you liked this vlog. Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. And I will see you next week. Peace. It's out. I'm out. I don't want to pour it on the floor. Fun fact about this mug is I bought this mug for $1 at the Dollar General store in Pittsburgh, Kansas in 2009 in my first semester of college when I was living with Zeb. I needed a coffee cup and I bought a coffee cup and this bad boy has been with me ever since. And yeah, it's kind of cool actually. So, all right, see you later. Bye. See ya. Bye.